The Life and Sad Ending of Charlie Rich. Charlie Rich was born on December 14, 1932, was born in Colt, Arkansas, United States, to rural cotton farmers. He graduated from Consolidated High School in Forest City, where he played saxophone in the band. His mother, Helen Rich, played piano and his father sang in gospel quartets. He enrolled at Arkansas State College on a football scholarship and then transferred to the University of Arkansas as a music major after a football injury. He left after one semester to join the United States Air Force in 1953. While stationed in Enid, Oklahoma, he formed the Velvetones, playing jazz and blues and featuring his wife, Margaret Ann, on vocals. He and Margaret Ann Green married in 1952. Upon leaving the military in 1956, they returned to the West Memphis area to farm 500 acres. He also began performing in clubs around the Memphis area, playing both jazz and R&B. During these times, he began writing his own material. He is perhaps best remembered for a pair of 1973 hits, Behind Closed Doors and The Most Beautiful Girl. The Most Beautiful Girl topped the U.S. country singles charts, as well as the Billboard Hot 100 pop singles charts, and earned him 2 Grammy Awards. When he entered the musical arts, his career was reported as follows. Event in 1958. Rich became a regular session musician for Sun Records, playing on a variety of records by Lewis, Johnny Cash, Bill Eustace, Warren Smith, Billy Lee Riley, Carl Mann, and Ray Smith. He also wrote several songs for Lewis, Cash, and others. His third single for the Sun subsidiary, Philips International Records, was the 1960 Top 30 hit, Lonely Weekends, which was notable for its Presley-like vocals. It sold more than 1 million copies and was awarded a gold disc by the Recording Industry Association of America. None of his 7 follow-up singles was a success, however, though several of the songs became staples in his live set, including Who Will the Next Fool Be, Sittin' and Thinkin', and No Headstone on My Grave. These songs were often recorded by others to varying degrees of success, such as the Bobby Bland version of Who Will the Next Fool Be. Career a little sprouted, then a little broken as well. Rick's career then stalled and he left the struggling Sun label in 1963, signing with Groove, a subsidiary of RCA Victor. His first single for Groove, Big Boss Man, was a minor hit, but once again, his Chet Atkins-produced follow-up records all failed. His first single for Smash was Mohair Sam, an R&B-inflected novelty rock number written by Dallas Frazier, and it became a top 30 pop hit. Unfortunately again for Rich, none of his follow-up singles were successful. Rich again changed labels, moving to High Records, where he recorded blue-eyed soul music and straight country, but once more, none of his singles for High made a dent on the country or pop charts. One High Records track, Love Is After Me, from 1966, belatedly became a white soul favorite in the early 1970s. In 1967, Cheryl helped Rich refashion himself as a Nashville sound balladeer during an era when old rock and roll artists like Jerry Lee Lewis and Conway Twitty were finding a new musical home in the country and western format. This new country-politan Rich sound paid off in the summer of 1972, when I Take It On Home went to number 6 on the country charts. The title track from his 1973 album Behind Closed Doors became a number 1 country hit early in that year, then crossing over into the top 20 on the pop charts. He persisted in facing challenges and God was not disappointed, he won. This time, his follow-up single did not disappoint, as The Most Beautiful Girl spent 3 weeks at the top of the country charts and 2 weeks at the top of the pop charts. Now that he was established as a country music star, Behind Closed Doors won 3 awards from the Country Music Association that year: Best Male Vocalist, Album of the Year, and Single of the Year. The album was also certified gold. Rich won a Grammy Award for Best Male Country Vocal Performance, and he took home 4 Academy of Country Music Awards. One of RCA Victor's several resident songwriters, Marvin Walters, co-wrote for 3 years with Charlie, producing 4 recordings including the popular Set Me Free. After The Most Beautiful Girl, #1 hits came quickly, as 5 songs topped the country charts in 1974 and crossed over to the pop charts. The songs were There Won't Be Any More, A Very Special Love Song, I Don't See Me in Your Eyes Anymore, I Love My Friend, and She Called Me Baby. In the mid-1960s both RCA Records and Mercury Records re-released his previously recorded material, as well. All of this success led the CMA to name him Entertainer of the Year in 1974. In the same year, he performed the Academy Award-nominated theme song I Feel Love from the film Benji. Rich had 3 more top 5 hits in 1975, but though he was at the peak of his popularity, Rich began to drink heavily, causing considerable problems off stage. The slump in his career was exacerbated by the fact that his records began to sound increasingly similar. Pop-inflected country ballads with overdubbed strings and little of the jazz or blues Rich had performed his entire life. He did not have a top 10 hit again until Rollin' with the Flow went to #1 on the country charts in 1977. Early the following year, in 1978, he signed with United Artists Records, and throughout that year, he had hits on both Epic and UA. His hits in 1978 included the top 10 hits Beautiful Woman, Puttin' in Overtime at Home, and his last #1 with On My Knees, a duet with Janie Fricke. Rich appeared as himself in the 1978 Clint Eastwood movie, Every Which Way But Loose, in which he performed the song I'll Wake You Up When I Get Home. This song hit #3 on the charts in 1979 and was the last top 10 single of his career. Rich struggled throughout 1979 having hits with United Artists and Epic. His singles were moderate hits that year. The biggest of them on either UA or Epic was a version of Spanish Eyes, which became a top 20 country hit. In 1980, he switched labels again to Elektra Records, and released a #12 single, A Man Just Don't Know What a Woman Goes Through in the fall of that year. One more top 40 hit followed, the Gary Stewart song Are We Dreamin' the Same Dream early in 1981, but Rich decided to remove himself from the spotlight. For over a decade, Rich was silent, living off his investments in semi-retirement and only playing occasional concerts. He also played a bit part in the 1981 movie Take This Job and Shove It, which yielded his last charted single, You Made It Beautiful. In 1992, Rich released Pictures and Paintings, a jazzy album that was produced by journalist Peter Guralnick. This album was released via Sire Records. Pictures and Paintings received positive critical reviews and restored Rick's reputation as a musician, but it was his last album. In 2016, a tribute album entitled Feel Like Going Home, The Songs of Charlie Rich was released by Memphis International Records. Tom Waits, who was an opening act for Rich in the 1970s, mentions him in the song Putnam County from his album Nighthawks at the Diner with the lyric, "The radio spitting out Charlie Rich. He sure can sing, that son of a bitch." Rick's destructive personal behavior famously culminated at the CMA Awards ceremony for 1975, when he presented the award for Entertainer of the Year, while visibly intoxicated. Cannot deny his contributions earlier. Rich died in his sleep on July 25, 1995, in a Hammond, Louisiana, motel. He was 62 years old. The cause of death was a pulmonary embolism. He was buried in the Memorial Park Cemetery in Memphis, Tennessee. Come here. I would like to thank you for your support of video makers like me. Nostalgia for Charlie Rich will remain in our hearts, music lovers.